Grizzly. At Grizzly, we believe charging your electric vehicle should be simple, reliable, and affordable. That's why we design, engineer, and build our chargers in Canada, ensuring top-tier quality and performance. Powered by United Chargers, every Grizzly model is crafted in-house, built to withstand extreme conditions, and tested for reliability. Recognized by leading publications for its performance and value, Grizzly delivers both durability and intelligence with heavy-duty aluminum enclosures, premium output cables, and smart charging features like scheduling, usage tracking, and OCPP compatibility with multiple charging apps. Grizzly. Simple, reliable, affordable, built for every climate, every EV, everywhere you go. Visit Grizzly.com to learn more.
Happy New Year. Welcome to the Batteries Included podcast. Friday, January 2nd. We got as close as we could to doing this at the beginning of a brand new year. Missed it by a day. Episode 120 on today's show. We're talking about all the EVs going on sale in the US in 2026 and maybe some more as well. We do this every year. It's almost a tradition after how long? 5 years, maybe more, of doing this show. We always kick off the new year with this show, and it always seems to be really popular as well. Hello, I'm Martin Leaf from the EV News Daily podcast. Joining us today is the tenebrous Mr. Tom Malogany, senior editor at Inside EVs and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge. We have Dominic Yoni, longtime EV journalist and host of YouTube's Drive Electric with Dominic. Later, we hopefully will be joined by Kyle Connor from the majestic, practically palatial halls of Out of Spec Studios. And the most important member of the show is you in the comments on the screen. Gary, already. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the show, and we trust everyone had a good Christmas and fantastic New Year celebrations. By the way, if Santa brought anyone an EV for Christmas, leave that in the comments or the live chat. We'd love to see. Tom, what were you doing for Christmas?
I was playing around with my Yarbo autonomous snowblower, but actually I did go up to Vermont. I spent a few days up in Vermont with my in-laws, so it was very nice getaway. And went to visit the first IONNA site that will open really soon in the state of Vermont. And yeah, had a nice time. Came home to some snow, and I got to play around with my new toy.
Yeah, I was having a look to see if you got any snow your end, because it threatened this morning. It fell as rain. It would have been the first snow in a long time. I live on the south coast anyway. It's never going to snow very much here. It's not like I live in Scotland, but it was threatening. And then I scanned over to where you are and thought, nah, you got a bit more than we have. And I'm guessing, Dominic, no snow where you are. Perhaps a little bit too warm.
No, highs for 80 degrees and such. Yeah, it is pretty quiet. There's not really a whole lot of Christmas celebrations here in Vietnam. But I spent the time, was it Friday or Saturday? I went out and spent some time with my new friend, like a rideshare driver, Heem. He drives for Grab, and we drove around the island in a VinFast VF3. And I made a little video, and we went and charged it a bit. And so that charges like the same speed as a Chevy Bolt, just fun fact. And yeah, so that's up on my channel now, actually, if anyone wants to check that out.
Morning, Cheddar. Cheddar Kung Pao says, the separate mobile stream that this thing now does splits up the chat. I didn't know that. So, okay, we'll have a look at that. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so ago, it started to, it's like Instagram thing, right? So it's in, what do they call it? Landscape. Portrait. Right? So, yeah, I noticed that a couple of weeks ago after the show finished. We had two versions on YouTube, and I think Dominic sorted it all out. So sorry about that. We'll have a look at that. Sorry about that. Tom, yes, I interrupted Tom.
No, I was going to say, and you, Martin, how about your Christmas?
Yeah.
Quiet. We've always, before kids, and I'm sure that I look fresh-faced, but as many people realize, we started a family a little bit older than some. We spent like 20 years just flip-flopping. So I met my wife when we were 18. And we're 48 now. So we always flip-flop. And we just always got into the habit of, we always went to the other parents on Christmas Day. And then when we had kids, we carried it on. And then this year, we thought, why are we doing this? So he said to them, you know where we live? And that may, because the kids are 3 and 7, and it's rubbish to get up, open all your presents, and then be told, right, get in the car. We're going to see Nanny, which is rubbish when you're 3 or 7. So we stayed at home, and it was fantastic, and it really was nice and relaxed. And then we went straight away off to a family holiday, and I got back half an hour ago because I turned on my laptop and I was getting notifications for before Christmas, like the calendar reminders, which just shows how long I've not been logged on for. And this all still works. I don't know if I still work. barely. But the technology works. Let's get into it for a special start of the year episode. We're going to look ahead at all the EVs coming to US showrooms in 2026. Fasten your seatbelts. We're going to whiz through these. And apologies if you've got these vehicles already where you're watching or listening to this podcast. But most people who watch and listen are in the US, so that's what this show's all about. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. We'll start with the Acura RSX. There's a vehicle that I won't get anyway, because Acura's not really a big deal over here. RSX EV, though, is a big deal for the brand. The concept unveiled at Monterey Car Week back in 2024. Prototype was unveiled at Monterey last year. Production version hasn't had an official debut. It'll look like the prototype, though, we think, with traditional mirrors, though, and it'll go on sale in the second half of this year. First model engineered in-house for the new Honda E architecture, and the first EV made at Honda's EV Hub. It'll be their new flexible manufacturing facility. No definite specs to roll into this one with, but I guess for fans of the brand, or maybe some what's the phrase, conquest purchases, where people will get attracted into a brand that they've never had before. This could be very interesting. A bit sporty, a bit premium, a bit crossovery, and they point out it's a software-defined vehicle. Very much the buzzword of, it's a very important technology of the day, really, the way Rivian and others make their vehicles. Yeah, Tom, we haven't got Acura over here, but will this be a big deal?
Probably not. I think it looks cool. It definitely gives me some Polestar vibes, but Acura isn't a huge brand here, and it's kind of like, they do well. Don't get me wrong, but it's built as like a sports car, kind of, and it being their crossover type of a platform. I'm not so sure that this is going to resonate with, say, the typical Acura buyer. We'll see. I think it kind of looks cool, but I don't know where this fits in with Acura's, in Acura's portfolio of vehicles. So, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I mean, the ZDX really tanked. The Prologue is doing pretty well, as was for a while. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. I think it looks cool. We don't have a lot of specs on it, but I don't expect this to be a big seller.
Yeah, it's they sold like 12,000 of the ZDX last year, which I guess wasn't enough, because as soon as the federal incentive went away, the ZDX went away. So the RSX, at least this is on their own platform, so it's a kind of a fresh starting point for the brand Acura. And so I think it's actually kind of the right move for the company, because Honda's an engineering company, and so Acura, it needs its own technology under their vehicles, really. I think borrowing from GM, it's been good for Honda with the Prologue, but I don't really think it was the right move. They really need to develop their own technology.
Can you remember that? Because the ZDX did really well with discounts, and it was, lease deals were crazy and whatnot. Dominic, can you remember how many they moved by the time they stopped selling it?
12,000.
12,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just not it's one of the lower selling models, but the rest of the models on the Acura line are actually kind of losing. They were down in sales last year, and the ZDX, and there's another one. I think they have the ADX, which is kind of picking up the pace. Adding some sales for the Acura, but their older models are kind of like decreasing. But so 12,000, I think, was the lowest selling model, but it was something. I don't think anyone's really going to miss it. It kind of had that like Hearst look from the side, if you remember that. But I think this is like really much more better styled car. It's like should be nice and sporty. I think Acura is known, at least by some, for the Integra, which is really a kind of a sporty kind of car. So I think they're really kind of trying to move back to that image.
I was looking through the comments. I don't know if we showed it on screen when I was doing the intro to that. Did we show Reese's comment on screen? Reese rides. I picked up a Sierra EV. Did you show that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
congratulations.
yeah.
I picked up a Sierra EV, my very first EV, on the 31st before the incentives expired in Colorado. And I'm stoked, thanks to Tom and all of you, for a great show. This is just
Awesome.
the Tom and Friends show, isn't it? It's like a breakfast show called Tom and the Gang.
No, not at all.
Yes, it is.
Not at all.
It is. It's like Tom and others. That's amazing. So, I think with like Honda and Acura, I think there's a whole wider conversation to have there around the Japanese strategy. And Toyota couldn't give a monkey's what I think, because they're making money faster than they can open the front door and money flies in. So Toyota are doing very well, whatever I think of them. But I think all the Japanese have got really interesting roads ahead of them, because none of them are known for EVs, really. Nissan's really got a job to do with Leaf Gen 3. And so I think all of them have had a good time for a long time, for good reasons, because they're really good at engineering cars and rethinking how to make the motor car. And the last 20 or 30 years or so, we've learned a lot from how the Japanese did their business. I think the Chinese have come in, and I think there's some cultural guardrails in place around how those Japanese car makers go around their business. I'm not saying that they're going to go bust or anything, but it's a big question mark for me. One of those is Sony Honda. Afeela,
Right.
which is a weird name. Afeela is the new brand from Sony Honda. Talk about underwhelming. This is built on Honda's E architecture and made at the Honda EV hub in Ohio. Afeela 1 goes on sale in the summer in California, at least. We'll see it at CES. It's high-tech. It's going to have a PlayStation inside it. It's going to cost $103,000. But don't worry, in time they'll get to the Origin trim. That'll be $90,000. But you do get 3 years of membership to their ecosystem for that $104,000. 91 kilowatt. We've got some specs on this. 91 kilowatt hour pack, 300 miles EPA, DC peak at 150, all-wheel drive, 180 kilowatts on each axle. Yeah, okay, Dom, what do you think?
40 sensors, 18 cameras, all the stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure if I've ever been more underwhelmed by a car, like at least at this price point. So I don't mind the styling, but it is bland. The interior is I don't know. I described it as joyless the other day as I was looking at it. But much worse, it just doesn't deliver any of the basic performance metrics that you expect for a $100,000 car to hit in 2026, like 300 miles of range, only 150 kilowatts peak charging power. It's a new brand, so it needs to have like impact. It needs to be compelling, and I'm just not sure they can convince more than like a few hundred people to part with that kind of cash for a new untested vehicle, and it's only for sale in California.
It better be a technological masterpiece.
Yeah, like the steer-by-wire has to be incredible,
because everything else is so pedestrian. Like the whole UI has to be off the charts, for this to make any sense. But we'll see.
No, we'll see. I won't be queuing up to buy one. But the BMW iX3, I can't afford one of those either. But now this is probably the first real big hitter of the show that we've got to so far. Crossover SUV. Kyle was on the show recently giving his impressions of it. It's the first BMW on Neue Klasse platform. So 400 miles 400 is the big number, right? 400 miles of range, 400 kilowatts peak DC, 800 volt architecture, Gen 6 cell to pack battery, 46 120s inside this. The US gets its launch mid-year. So the first one's going to be the iX3 50 xDrive, so that's all-wheel drive in their parlance. xDrive, 345 kilowatts of power. That's almost 463 horsepower. So sub 5 seconds 0 to 60. As Kyle pointed out, it wasn't about ripping your face off 0 to 60. It was just about being an engineering tour de force, which it seems like it has really delivered on. They've got it right up till now. Let's see how they launch it. This looks good, Tom.
100%, we've seen Kyle get excited about a lot of new vehicles, when he goes on first drives and so forth. And the same way for me, but Kyle is genuinely stoked over this. Like he is like, I've talked to him, just about the iX3 a couple of times, and he is like, I just can't wait to get one for like a long period of time and drive it. So that says a lot in my opinion. I didn't do the first drive, so I haven't had hands-on experience with it yet. But Kyle genuinely can't wait for this to come out, and neither can I. And I always believed that when BMW went all in on EVs, and it appears that's the case now with the Neue class. And what I mean all in, I don't mean that they're phasing out combustion. I mean, give it their full 100% effort, put a lot of money behind it with a dedicated architecture and everything. I always believed that they would knock it out of the park. You guys know I had a lot of experience with BMW in their early days when they started Project I back in 2006. They started Project I, but 2008, 2009, 2010, I actually had a lot of exposure to BMW's engineers and their marketing and their planning, their product planning for EVs, and they were just kind of out there too early, and they invested billions into the i3 and i8. I mean, they were planning on shifting production to carbon fiber to lightweight EVs, and they were just too early at the time, and they didn't put out the right type of vehicle. But I always believed once they really put their mind to it, they were going to kill it. And I think having that early, other than Tesla, BMW probably invested more in electric vehicles than anybody back in 15, 16 years ago. And they just decided they needed to pull back for a product cycle or two, and they used the flexible platforms that would accommodate combustion, hybrid, and also electric vehicles. But now they're back with the Neue class, and it looks like they mean business.
Yeah,
and,
I saw an i8 the other day, Tom. They still look good. Like they still look good.
And the funny thing is, I saw just this morning, I was researching used i3s because a friend of mine's interested in buying one, and I saw an i8 for $37,000 or $38,000 with like 60,000 miles, and I'm like, damn, like I could have an i8 for like probably talk them down to 35 grand. Like, do I dare? But no, I'm not going that route. But I love what they're doing with this Neue class. The iX3 is the first vehicle that is genuinely got me really excited from BMW. Since the i3. Back when, we're talking, 2010, 2011 might have been the first I heard from BMW what they were engineering and what they were planning on making. But this is the first vehicle from BMW that has me genuinely excited about their, electric vehicles. And Kyle, I'm sure.
Can we just check? Has Kyle come dressed in his iX3 color matched outfit?
No, different color.
Okay, I thought it was the same peach hoodie. Okay, right. I thought you'd color match for the iX3. Still in love with this car. Still in love with it. An homage to the iX3. Still wearing the same clothes. But you rate this car so highly, don't you? So
I might be wearing the same pants.
Amazing. Yeah, I think this is a cool car. This is a cool car. Yeah, man. Hope they get it right.
Well, morning, guys. How's everyone?
Good morning.
Doing?
Good morning, Kyle.
Sorry, I'm late. We had we're installing some chargers here at the track, and there was a little bit of kerfuffle with the boring guys to lay the cables underneath the ground, but we got them all sorted. I told them, if you see sparks flying, just keep going. You'll be fine.
That's live wires?
Yeah, we have our wires? Utility transformer lines that he was worried about, and I was like, just send it.
Are those the free wire chargers?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we can talk about those.
Have you got them yet? What's like? If anybody doesn't know, Kyle was it an eBay? No, what was it? Like Craigslist
Facebook,
or something?
Facebook Marketplace. So Alex, who works for me, who runs the Renew YouTube channel, the Out of Spec Renew channel. He's great. He's like one of the best people. But he has a real addiction, and it is to Facebook Marketplace. And he will send me multiple ads per day of the most random, wild electric car or car adjacent finds. And it's how we ended up with all of those weird 90s era car BVs from the Bonnie collection and many other items. It's why I have 2 Mitsubishi i-MiEVs. He said he found 3 free wire DC fast chargers for $2,000. Well, they were a little bit more, but we negotiated them down to $2,000. And then we shipped them across the country. And guess what? We got 3 essentially brand new, like they look like they've not been used much.
That's crazy.
Boost 200s. They're the brand new ones too. They're like
crazy.
The ones that are relatively recent. 180 kilowatt hours of storage in each, 200 kilowatt power output on each. And they all seem to have everything in them. And then another company, In Charge Energy in Richmond, who are some friends of mine's right up the road, they're an hour away from the track. They said, hey, don't worry about fiddling around and installing them wrong. We'll install them. We'll make sure they're safe, and we'll put you on a maintenance plan so they'll always work. And I'm like, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened.
Wow. You're literally turning into a CPO.
For our own cars.
One man CPO. That's incredible. All right. So that's the free wire ones, but you're laying some cable for other stuff.
Yeah, I'm just putting some level 2s up front in front of the building. So I have, we have 2 posts of Autel 80 amp EVSE. So everything will be dedicated 100 amp line fed to it. So we can run, 4 cars at 80 amps flat out, which will be great. And then on the other side of the parking lot, I think we're going to do 16 dedicated at 80 amps, but I'm waiting for a transformer for that one.
Wow, that's a lot of power. Holy crap.
You're messing around with all these plugs. Why don't you just make the track inductive?
That'd be cool. We should look into it because we are thinking we have to repave it in the next year or 2. And so, we should put an inductive
partnership with the companies that are looking for pilot testing, of inductive track. You could have the first inductive electric vehicle charging track in the world.
Great idea. We should do that.
There's got to be so much, because you keep hearing about these pilot projects, and some sort of local municipalities, because they always about it's the future of charging, and it's not. We're get, like I think Florida this week, so we're going to do like 15 miles of inductive.
My mom told me about that, Martin. She said, "Do you know what they're building near my house? They're building an electric car recharging roadway." She's like, "I can't wait to drive my Macan over that." I'm like, "No, it's not going to work with your car.
It won't do any good." But someone's paying. Someone's paying for it, so don't waste your money.
With the Cayenne, though.
Yeah, with the Cayenne, that might work. Like 7 kilowatts. So when you're done with Florida, go to Kyle's track and do it there if you want to spend some money somewhere.
Yeah, if they can offset the cost of a repave, I'm in. So that would be great.
It's a great video.
In Detroit now, I believe, in Michigan, there's there's a roadway that has it. They're using it as a pilot program.
But speaking of inductive ideas, I just posted about this online. And if you head over to my Twitter account, my buddy Calvin, who works at Porsche, Tom knows Calvin as well. He sent me a video last night of this inductive stove that is like from the future. And it's a battery integrated cookware device. And you can plug it into 120 volt or 240, just recharges the onboard battery a bit quicker. It has 10 kilowatts of heating power. Wow. And it's the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen. And I know nothing about cooking, but it's from Impulse Labs, not sponsored yet. I am certainly going to reach out to those guys, and maybe they'll sponsor this show. That would be awesome.
Okay.
That'd be amazing. Right. Let's get back to our cars that are important for 2026. And this, I tell you, the iX3 is going to be a big one, but so is this as well if they get it right. Chevrolet Bolt is back this year. Technically a 2027 model year. It's been out of production for a couple of years. It was then the EUV and the Bolt EV. That's all gone. Now it's the larger EUV size, but it's cheaper than it went off sale at. So it's coming in at $29,900 with destination included. So it's under $30,000. And so 65 kilowatt hour LFP. The charging is fixed, 150 kilowatts. I think that means charging is fixed. And for this vehicle, for this use case, 10 to 80 in 26 minutes is all you need. And so we haven't got all the performance numbers on this, but this is the right price, the right kind of vehicle for so many people that want reliable, efficient, electric transport, vehicle to home, and bidirectional capable at some point, although that's going to add $9,000 to the bill for GM's energy system. Tom, you had a Bolt at one point in the past.
Still do.
Oh, you still do? You've still got the Bolt?
Yeah, my dad commandeered it, but it's still in my name.
Important vehicle, this one?
Yeah, 100%. Between this and the new Leaf, which I'm sure we're going to probably talk about later, super important for the market to get, affordable electric vehicles out there, long range EVs that charge reasonably well. You're not going to get top charging specs out of cars that, are going to lease for under $300 a month. But respectable at least. That was one of the Achilles heels of the Bolt before. It charged so slowly. I mean, it had 2016 charging tech, that GM just never updated. The funny thing is, when it came out, it was fine, but that's how this industry's moving. So yeah, this is a big deal. I think it's going to get a lot of butts in electric seats. The fact that they improved the charging, was able to keep the cost down, improved, the range is about the same, right? I think it's a couple ticks more or even a few miles less, but the range was never a problem with the Bolt. It doesn't have to be a 400-mile car. It just needs to be able to have reasonable charging speeds if you are going to take it on a long trip. And super important vehicle. Glad they have it back. And maybe when my Bolt lease is up in 8 months. Oh no, my Equinox lease is up in 8 months. Good chance that I'm going to grab one of these guys.
Oh, nice.
Interior fixed, Dom. I know people are going to say Apple CarPlay is important. I don't care, but and I'm completely all in on Apple, but it makes no difference to me. But a lot of people it does.
So I'm pretty excited about this new Bolt. I think it looks like a lot better than the previous one. I think the only miss is like the lack of CarPlay. I mean, that's really important to like 35% of people. It's like a red line for them, But if you can deal with that not having CarPlay, I think it's going to be GM's EV volume leader. And I think with state level incentives still in place, it's going to be really competitive, like in California, Colorado. Unfortunately, its biggest competitor is going to be in the same showroom with it, like the Chevy Trax. It's like 21,000, I believe, in that neighborhood to start with. And it's, it's a pretty, I think the Bolt's going to be a little nicer inside. And of course, it probably nicer to drive mostly, but the Chevy Trax also has a longer wheelbase. So it might be better on the highway, but I don't know. I like the Bolt a lot. I think it looks good, and I think it's the right look. And I think it's going to get a lot of people, in the electric seats, like Todd was saying.
All right, look forward to that. All right, Jaguar is the next one. Jaguar Type 00 electric GT car. So Jaguar said, we're going to move segment. We're going to stop selling combustion cars, and we're going to go more Bentley. And so this is a $130,000 vehicle. It will have some the specs to match it. Tri-motor, 1,000 horsepower, big O 110 kilowatt hour battery, WLTP to 400 miles. They want to do 200 miles at it in 15 minutes. But again, hugely expensive, and it's a massive gamble for Jaguar. I don't know. We'll wait and see when the camouflage comes off. I think it looks bad in camouflage, but it's meant to. It's what it's doing, right? So we'll wait and see.
So the little article we have on the screen here is from electrifying.com, and they've got to see them and a few other outlets got to see it, Top Gear and a few others, and the sentiment seems to be pretty positive overall. So it kind of, because Jaguar needs this to do something, it won't save the brand, all by itself, but it really needs to get them steering on the right track at the very least. Any excited about this at all, Kyle?
Yeah, I think this is cool. I think if it's really 130 grand, it's got the styling and imposing architecture, which you can call this an architectural piece for a car because it looks like that, to compete with a Celestiq or Spectre. It's just going to be a lot less expensive than those. At the end of the day, yeah, the sentiment around this car is widely terrible. Like, people hate this thing just because Jag built some of the best and most iconic grand touring cars that have ever been built, and now they're doing this like weird futuristic electric thing. That's the general consumer. Actually, I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it, even though Martin thinks it looks bad here, I think it looks great in the camouflage. So I definitely have a weird taste, but I kind of like these big, imposing cars, and I'm hoping they depreciate like crazy, like all Jags do anyway.
It will.
Because this will make a great $5,000 addition to my little fleet.
They really will. I think there's been some renders. I'm not sure it's on this page that you're looking at, Dom, but there's been some renders with the camo off and and the proper. And this is just the concept, so on screen right now for our YouTube viewers, it won't look like that, but it looks way better. When you can see the glass and the glass house looks entirely different without all the stickers on. It looked much better when someone did a mock-up of that. So it's a huge deal. Car making in the UK is not world beating, but the engineering is world class here. We have a decent industry. It fluctuates. It goes up and down. Polestar just laid off all of their UK teams. So the Polestar 5, all engineered in the UK, designed, of course, in Sweden, but engineered in the UK and owned by the Chinese. And then they just laid off 400 people or so. Now that project is finished, and so our car industry goes up and down, but what with the motorsport industry as well, all pretty much being based here, there's good engineering talent here, and Jaguar is still very well thought of. And then that whole kerfuffle around the rebrand was such an own goal. They just didn't need to do it, because lots of people who would never have given Jaguar a second thought were exposed to this very shock and awe style marketing, which was, we're ditching the logo, which they're not, but it looked like, because they've got the new typeface and we're ditching that. If you ever bought a Jaguar, we don't want you as our new buyers. Now we're going after this new audience, and even people who clearly are not Jaguar buyers now go, I don't like Jaguar, which is, does it matter? I don't know. But it seemed a bit of the marketing. Well, hey, they fired their agency. The boss has gone. The designer's gone. And there's new chiefs there. So we don't know what's happening there. We'll wait and see. Let's move on. Jeep Recon is a unique vehicle. That'll get to dealers in the US in the first half of this year. So the Jeep Recon is Jeep Wrangler experience. Take off the doors. Big power. STLA large platform. Still 400 volts, but not the end of the world. 100 kilowatt hour gross battery on this. So 250 miles of range, DC fast charge. Well, they give like a 28-minute time from 5%, 5 to 80, 7 kilowatts AC. There's some hits and some misses on this. Starting MSRP for the Moab trim, 65 grand. They say trail rated, 33-inch all-terrain tires. And again, if they get this right, it could find an audience.
Maybe.
It's got a lot of power, man. It's got, what's it, 650 horsepower, 620
got a lot of
pound-feet of
weight.
torque.
Yeah, it's heavy.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Power means
But that's-
nothing when
that's a
you
lot of horsepower.
factor in gear ratio and weight of the vehicle. I mean, and that's actually not that much power anymore. I mean, 1,000 horsepower is the old 500.
Yeah.
That's the Jaguar's got that. Jaguar's got 1,000 horsepower.
It's crazy.
Not that you really should put 1,000 horsepower in something like this.
Otherwise, yeah, like when you get to Hummer territory, it's like just bonkers. But yeah, Stellantis have got different stories they're telling around the world. Stellantis at the cheap family end of the market over here makes some really compelling vehicles. I think Stellantis in the US have some more challenges with their dealer relationships, which they say they're fixing in 2026, and the vehicles they got on sale as well. So
Yeah,
we will wait and see.
It's hard for me to get why somebody would select this over a Rivian product or Scout products that are coming out. Although I haven't driven them yet, so I really can't say that. But just capability, styling, and everything. It's hard for me to see a lot of people, cutting that check for this when there's other options out there that appear to be better on paper. So we'll see once we can get some seat time in this, but I think I'm not very enthusiastic about this vehicle.
Is it 65 grand to start for the Moab launch
For
trim?
Moab, yeah.
65,000. I don't know. It seems like a lot, but I don't know. How much are the Broncos going for, Kyle?
Less
like
than that for a base Bronco, but to be fair, this is more like Bronco Sport competitor,
Okay.
maybe a bit more than Bronco Sport, less than full Bronco, and I would bet. I mean, I can't wait to do a comparison test of this and the R1S. That's going to be really interesting. But the R1S should have just as much capability, if not, probably way more capability than this thing will offer. Although Jeep is pretty good about offering mechanical locking differentials, which is great.
Yeah, which
I think
this have.
this one axles I don't think is, but maybe I had that wrong before. Actually,
You had it wrong last time. Yeah.
Yeah, shut up about that.
But you remember the Jeep owners are immensely loyal. So
there's that.
They've had 5 Jeeps before, and they go to the dealership, and now they're ready to try something electric. They're not even thinking Rivian. So maybe brand loyalty gets a lot of these out on the road.
Yeah. I think it comes down to just Stellantis getting its Jeep dealers or getting their salespeople to get people to try it out. I mean, really, that's what sells these things, right? Getting people to drive them and see if get them.
Let's be real here. If it's based off anything like the Charger or the Wagoneer, driving it is not going to sell people on it.
It'll sell some people for sure.
That bottom line lease price is what's going to sell it.
There we go.
Okay.
What incentives does Stellantis put? What cash on the hood? What do they give you? What residual value? That's going to determine whether this thing sells or not.
Fair. That's very fair.
True. All right, this is a list of vehicles that are new to the US in 2026, and so that's why we're talking about the Mercedes-Benz CLA, which has been out a long time in some parts of the world. But keep an eye on this one, MMA platform, 800 volts. The first one is the CLA 250 Plus with EQ technology, to give it its full name. Almost 400 miles of range, starts at 47,000 or 47,250 in the US. Not a monster 0 to 60 by any means, 6.6 seconds this one, but there'll be dual motor CLA 350 formatics if you want to spend a bit more money, get a bit more performance in a straight line. That's not why this vehicle exists. 85 kilowatt hour pack, 320 kilowatt DC charging, 20 minutes, 80%, you're off and away again. Quite small vehicle for some people, I would say. When you see this in real life, I think some people would be like, if you know the Mercedes lineup, you'll know anyway what this is, but you might be surprised. But I love that this exists because it's slightly smaller, because it's a use case. It's not another big SUV. There'll be crossovers on the MMA platform and things like that, but this is so efficient, great engineering. Again, BMW and Mercedes-Benz have had a fantastic couple of recent launches. This got a little bit overshadowed recently because of the BMW sort of Neue Klasse stuff. But this is definitely worth a very important, look in 2026.
I think it's a nice premium alternative to the Model 3, basically.
I wonder how many Tesla Model 3 owners just ready for a change. Maybe had a couple of Teslas and think, I'll just try something else. This would be completely understandable to go for this.
You've driven this, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I have.
It's a good car.
How about the dynamic compared to the Model 3?
Surprisingly good, actually. I mean, it was surprisingly sporty and fun to toss around, and certainly felt really nice. Dynamically, I would choose a Model 3 over it. The 2-speed transmission drove me insane on this.
Because you can feel it, right? You can feel it change gears.
Yeah, and I just drove the rear drive. The all-wheel drive might be a little bit better. Yeah. There's also just something like nice and natural about a Model 3 that just, especially the new generation, they just drive great, especially when you start pushing them hard. This had a little bit of that sporty, fun to move around character as well. I really enjoyed driving this car. I just could not get over the interior. Hate that screen, personally.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Oh, it has pop-out door handles. I hadn't seen that. Yes, one of our commenters noting that they won't be doing that in China. So China has some rules coming in to do with many things, including efficiency of EVs, by the way, which is a fascinating thing to start regulating. Especially as the US is kind of winding back its regulations on fuel efficiency in combustion world. China's now moving into, in 2026, insisting on minimum efficiency levels, which I think is a fascinating thing for regulators to be thinking about, and maybe they should or shouldn't. This though is very cool. Mercedes-Benz CLA, small vehicle, like I say, for some, but really, really good. And what else should we talk about? Mercedes-Benz GLB, probably worth a mention as well. It should be end of 2026. EQB, EQB was fine. But basically a replacement to the EQB. More money, but a lot more SUV. Starting at 56.8 in the US. So a chunk under 60 grand. Again, MMA platform like the car we've just discussed. So 800 volts, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, 85 kilowatt hour pack, 400 miles of range, just a smidge under. Very efficient. Heat pump comes with it as well. Decent sized frunk, LFP battery pack option on a cheaper trim that will come in time, maybe not next year. Again, really fast charging. This again could be very popular.
See, this is what I was thinking, Tom. This is where the leasing and the different incentives from dealers comes in, because it's going to be sitting on the floor beside the hybrid, which is like a $43,000, $44,000. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough sell for Mercedes.
It depends how they work the numbers. How bad do they want to move them? I think this next generation of EVs from Mercedes is, I don't know if it's a giant step forward, but it's definitely a good step forward from their first gen. I'm not counting B-Class as a first gen because that was basically a Tesla, but they are. I think they're starting to get it right, and hopefully that translates more sales.
I mean, I think it's a fine vehicle on its own, but it's selling against itself, like in the hybrid version, for like a lot less money on the same floor. I don't know, Kyle, what do you think?
I think this thing rocks. I think the EQB was a letdown. It just charged too poorly, but again, was the smallest 3-row electric SUV as far as I can think of on sale in our market. And here now we've got the GLB, just the next generation of that car, with a massive leap forward in charging and range and efficiency. And I think it looks great. I think these always kind of have looked pretty good, especially if you option them properly. And they're going to be a great entry-level electric car. The EQB was the Mercedes dealer lease special. We've talked about it a lot on this show, where it's like, man, I'm buried in negative equity on a car. You just need to get out of it. Well, the EQBs were so heavily incentivized. They only really sold to people who had to get out of a bad situation. They would get approved on a lease on an EQB because there were so many incentives to pack that negative equity into in order to get a loan to value ratio where you'd get approved. And then you would have, a pretty high car payment for 2 to 3 years, but then you'd be clean. That was how a lot of people got into the EQB leases. This is actually going to be somewhat of a desirable choice, I think. Unlike CLA, which is going to become the new lease hero, in my opinion, it's going to have to be. I think this is actually going to be like a great car for a lot of people. And I think you're going to see great lease deals on these. They're going to charge great, and I think it looks good.
And they fixed the rear room that you had. The EQB was always really tight in the back as well to get 3 rows in. So it's a larger vehicle. They fixed that, and it's
But Martin, this is not at all related to the smart #5, even though it's almost the same style shape.
It looks the same, right?
Yeah.
But this is not a smart #5. And again, smart, I don't know if we'll get time to spend a long time on them today, but smart are going to make people redefine what they think a smart car is. There's a lot of people who don't know what smart stand for now.
Looking at my smart car out the window right here.
You still got it.
It's a real one. It's a purist. It's a 2-seat small thing, and I love it.
Engineered to within an inch of its life. It has to be for the hell that you put it through.
I heard that they're going to make the 2-seater ones again.
Yeah,
2-seater smarts.
Smart for 2 coming back. I can't wait. Awesome. Although they probably won't come here, but I'm holding on to mine forever. I love it.
Yeah.
It's owned by Geely, right? So it's a Chinese brand. Get them in Europe.
We can get them here, Volvo Polestar, right? So maybe they'll bring it back.
Yeah, they might bring it over.
I mean, we're not getting the ES90 because that's made in Chengdu.
No, it wouldn't sell here anyway.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not coming here anyway. Yeah.
Okay, I thought they were looking at moving some production, but maybe not. Hey, this is really important as well. A vehicle that for many people was the OG electric vehicle. It was made in 3 parts, 3 places around the world, in Japan, in the UK, and in America as well. And in its 3rd generation, the Nissan Leaf is back. It's already in dealers, but they've only just arrived in dealers. So let's talk about it briefly. Starting at a smidge more than the Bolt, it's 31,485, but 303 miles of range. 150 kilowatt DC fast charging on Leaf Gen 3. Okay, that's still over half an hour. That's not the end of the world for buyers of this vehicle. Those two. So we have a lot of small, cheap cars over here. So we have a conversation around 12 to 14,000 pounds being the cheapest EVs we can buy. Things like the Leap motors and the Dacia Springs, etc., and some small Citroens and some more Chinese stuff coming in this year. But for you guys, this is going to be the cheapest new EV you can go buy, this and the Bolt. And so it is a really, really big deal coming to the US market. Nissan had it all 10 years ago. They, of course, got trounced in the spec stakes by Tesla, who made EVs sexy, and the Leaf was never sexy, but it did a really important job. Maybe even more than 10 years ago. First, people first realized, I can have a vehicle that does half decent mileage. Maybe I wouldn't own one in a really hot climate, but apart from that, was really well loved. And then I think Nissan lost their way for many, many reasons, and from everyone who's had contact with this vehicle, they've all said, look, they've found their mojo again. Not blowing anything out the water, but for this price point and for this buyer and for this, single person, young couple, small family, really important car.
Love
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
This is
No, I was gonna
that's
say,
what
great
just
car.
love it.
That was my
Yeah.
review. Love it. It's so cool. I think I might buy one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm even more excited about this than the Bolt.
Really?
It really, at that price point, it appears, and I haven't really, none of us have really had a lot of time with both vehicles, but it appears to be a better package and offer more significant vehicle than the Bolt. And the Bolt is great. I love the Bolt. I love our current Bolt. But the fact that Nissan could bring this out at the price point that they did, it seems like it checks all the boxes for people shopping in that price category. And this should do really well. I'll be surprised if it doesn't, because even without the tax credit, this is an affordable vehicle that's very capable, and I think it looks great. So it seems to have everything. So hopefully Nissan will be able to get their dealers to have a major push on these, do some good lease deals, and I think once people start seeing them on the roads, it'll inspire other people to get them, because the Leaf kind of it was super long in the tooth, and it was even just the industry passed Nissan. They were early, as you mentioned, and then it just lost its pizzazz. And I don't know, a lot of people that don't follow the industry like we do don't really know that they have this new, completely, redesigned Leaf. It's not just the same old Leaf. So I think once these get out there, people are going to be like, that looks pretty good. What is it? And hopefully the Nissan dealers can put out good monthly payments, because it all comes down to that. In this price category, even $10 a month makes a difference to people leasing it or not. So hopefully Nissan does a good deal with lease with a 3-year lease on it, because that's what's going to get people in this. And I think once people get into it, that's going to sell more of them.
I just want to know why Amelia Hartford's doing this presentation. I love her. She's great. She has a great channel. You should definitely go check her out. But she's into like performance modified cars, not Nissan Leafs. That's so funny.
yeah.
Nissan never seemed to have the marketing on the Leaf nailed. Never.
They don't know. They don't know how to do it. Yeah.
Day one, when the Leaf first came out, and it was the polar bear walking and hugging the guy because the Leaf was going to save the planet. That they never seemed to be able to really nail it with a Leaf commercial, and this, I guess that hasn't changed.
Well, that's not to say it's bad. It's just like not her niche. Like if she was doing the new Z car or like a Nismo product, that works really well. I think I saw her doing some other Nissan stuff. So she must be like a brand ambassador with the whole company. And she is truly fantastic. Colton's a big fan. She makes some great content. It's just not Leaf content. This is like Cletus McFarland unveiling the new Bolt. It just doesn't really make sense.
That's cool. NB Volks in the comments says when they're all dancing around the car, looks like a prescription drug ad. And very true. Scroll back to when they were all in their multicolored suits, looking like a new Jaguar advert, all dancing around the car. And that is because we aren't allowed drug advertising on TV over here. So whenever I come to the States, I'm like, this is all you advertise on your TV. Like we aren't allowed it over. We're not allowed.
And the last 10 seconds of the commercial tells you all the side effects. I love that.
Which is basically, you're
Yes.
probably going to die, but, or just, and that's what this advert looks like. But, although I'm laughing, I know that my wife would look at this. I mean, like, that looks fun. Like, this car looks fun. I like the color. I like the dancing. So I'm obviously not the target audience of this, and my wife certainly is, and she would have a Leaf absolutely tomorrow. They're a big vehicle. And yeah, I say this all the time. I just really hope Nissan don't screw this up. They've just got it all. They've got it all on a plate right now, and they've got it all just laid out. And all they've got to do is just bring this car to market at the right price in the right way through their dealers, and just not mess it up. Like for so long, this vehicle was coming. And I talk about the BMW is the perfect opposite to this. Every month, I think we had a little press release or a little video or a mini YouTube documentary about Neue Klasse. And when a car maker's doing that, you know that they know they're onto something special. That's for like ages. BMW like, here's a thing about the cell to pack stuff, or here's a little bit about efficiency. Yeah. Nissan didn't say a word about this vehicle for forever until they came to launch it, which is just another way of doing it. The other way of launching a car is be like, oh, hey, we've finished it. Here it is, by the way, please. Please drive it. But I just want them to be more proud of it, to be like, oh, we're almost ready. We've built the factory. We've built the battery line. And they never, they're so bad at this.
Since we're talking about advertising and you just mentioned BMW, do any of you guys remember one of the earliest BMW i3 commercials where the kid that was like a teenager just got his driver's license and the dad just gets the i3 and it's in his garage? So the kid sneaks down at night, gets the car, and takes it out, picks up his girlfriend, and they drive around town and everything. And the whole thing was how, like, it was fun. And it was quiet, so he could sneak out of the garage and drive down the driveway without waking up his dad. And they're driving around town, they're laughing. Like, I was like, this is awesome. This is what you want to talk about with electric cars. Not saving the planet, not saving, a dollar every week on fuel, or, just like they're fun to drive. And then the kid gets back home, right? Thinks he's home. But as soon as he plugs it in, his dad's cell phone is laying next to the bed. It gives him an alert that your vehicle is now charging. So the dad wakes up, and that's how the kid gets caught. So that was an awesome commercial. Like, we need more of that, like showing that EVs are fun and exciting.
So,
Zedalum was in, I'm trying to bring up this comment here. Zedalum was in Tokyo, I think, recently, and he said it was up front and center in Ginza. That's a part of Tokyo. In the #1 spot, great space. Yeah, it says good enough charging. It's over 300 miles of range on this. So it's just like a little bit more money than the Bolt, a lot more range, a little more cargo capacity. I think the second row is a little bit smaller. The Bolt's got a better second row, but yeah, I think it has all the potential to do really good for Nissan, and Nissan really needs a hit right now.
All right, we're getting through the list. We're onto the P's right now. Polestar 5, again, they've had a really interesting brand story to tell. I've been watching their monthly videos about the project, the Polestar 5, their new flagship. The Precept concept is, did I say that right? Yeah, I did. Is where it all began. 800 volts, dual motor, or performance versions. I don't think there's any doubt this car is going to be engineered brilliantly. 3.1 seconds 0 to 60. They limit it to 155 miles an hour, but it's not rare for EVs to go on to 200 miles an hour these days. 106 kilowatt hour pack, charging at 350 kilowatts, so super fast charging. It looks brilliant. No one's going to buy one, and it's going to be the same price as a Jaguar EV GT. So it starts at 135,000, I think. Maybe it's not official, but that's what it'll start at for the dual motor. Polestar do their performance thing. Big fan, huge fan. I think it's great. Not sure Polestar's in the right place to launch this vehicle now. They had another 600 million or so cash injection, I think, from Geely. But yeah, difficult vehicle, difficult place for the company. I hope they make it. Obviously, I don't want to be left with the car from a car company that's not around. Well, they're still listed, but if it doesn't work out, if they end up getting delisted and what have you because of financial performance, they'll be taken private again. If you look at what's happened with Zeekr being folded back in, so they'll become a private part of the empire. But so Polestar's not going away. But holy moly, rather, this is a great vehicle that they're not going to sell a lot of.
Well, half of us are Polestar owners here.
Yeah.
Right.
And Martin, this would make a great used purchase, just like we bought our Polestars used.
This would be fantastic. I tentatively, as we walked past a Polestar 4 on our holidays, said to my wife, maybe because we've had the Polestar 2 for 2 years now, so obviously we want we're getting itchy. Well, I am, and she said it looked pretty, and I don't think the Polestar 4 is pretty, but she did. So I banked that one and went, good to know. Good to know. I think because we've had the Polestar 4 out a long time now, and the 3. They came ridiculously close to each other. Those cars should have been given room to breathe, but the Polestar 4 is, I don't know what it's down to now. Pretty cheap. All Polestars are cheap. I was looking at a Polestar, what was it, BST 270?
Oh, nice.
Which is one of the special editions that they made. And it was ridiculously cheap. It's like, man.
That And that's got a crazy suspension setup with the overflow for the dampers up in by the windshield wipers. It's really cool.
Yeah. And that was, I don't know, late 20s or something. Just no money. And then I was like, well, if I'm spending that, then what can I? But Taycons are like low 30s or maybe mid 30s now. I think, well, the Polestar would be nice, but it's not a Taycon. And you can
My buddy just
Taycon.
bought a Gen 1 Taycan Turbo S. The sticker new was like $250, $230. It was huge Turbo S, every option. It only had, I think it has less than 10,000 miles on it, but he got it for about 100,000 off sticker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy moly.
It's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing or hearing Kyle's impressions of this whole thing on the track. I don't know if you can get one, Kyle, but
they're not launching in the US initially.
Right. So it's because it's kind of in the same ballpark as like the Lucid Air, Grand Touring. And so I just wonder how those two, hold up against each other, because this is supposed to be have really excellent dynamics and handling, and you the way you talk about the Lucid Air chassis, I think this would be a really good matchup.
No, it won't be. No, because you can't turn traction control off in this car.
Really? Okay.
Yep. It only lets you go ESC Sport.
Even in the 5.
Yeah, okay, to be fair, let me just show you guys this really quick. ESC Sport does leave enough room for fun, because this is my background screensaver on my iPad.
Yes.
Of a Polestar 3 in ESC Sport when I had it out on a wet day out on track. But so you can do it, but let me tell you how hard it was to get the car to do that. It took a lot of convincing, and the car went into full limp mode and shut down, and we had to let it sit overnight before it turned back on.
No.
Yes, it completely bricked itself.
No.
Because I slid a performance car, which is so stupid. So if that is how they quantify performance, then they're not a performance brand. They can't compete with Lucid or Porsche if they don't let you have fun with the cars. It's just a fundamental non-starter. Now, people will buy them who are non-performance drivers and enjoy them, and I would enjoy it 99% of the time. But if you're going to spend 130 grand on a car that can't do performance stuff, there's a real problem there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. But anyway, it'll be awesome. Porsche Cayenne is good as well. Now they've electrified their biggest model and its bestseller as well. And the Cayenne is the real deal. The combustion model, the Cayenne, back in the day, turned the company around. All these years later, Porsche is once again facing some real headwinds. They sold 100,000 of them last year alone. That's a fifth more than the Macan they sold. And it's not a cheap vehicle. But Porsche is struggling in many places around the world. It's collapsed in China. And that was a huge profit center for them. Cayenne electric, base model, Cayenne turbo electric to begin with. And we talked about 1,000 horsepower. This one's 1,140 horsepower. 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60. Push to pass function adds another couple of 100 horsepower just because they can. It stops at about 162 miles an hour on the Autobahn. And it's just fantastically engineered. Again, another vehicle that they probably just won't sell enough of to make it worth their while doing, which will be a criminal shame.
Yeah.
What have I mentioned? Battery, 113 kilowatt hour usable, 400 miles WLTP. What else? Regen, 600 kilowatts of regen. 600 kilowatts regen.
It's got to the 80% in 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Charging.
They won't
Yeah,
sell
and
any
it's
of these.
actually, Kyle and I were talking to the engineers when we did the original range test with it. It was kind of like an engineering event that we went to, not like a press range test. And they actually were very proud that it will actually charge 10 to 80% in 15 minutes and 15 seconds, to be precise. German engineering.
But they won't
they're
say
not
15.
allowed, yes, they're not allowed to say that because it takes longer than 15 minutes. So like,
No, I
even if
thought
it
it's
was 15
because it's a temperature, or it was a temperature thing. Volkswagen quotes all their 10 to 80 times with a 72F starting average battery temperature.
Ah.
And I forget his name. The engineer that I was driving with told me that it was because it takes longer than 15 seconds because we have to round up.
Interesting.
So it's 15
that's
seconds
specific.
more, and they just say it's
Yeah.
15 minutes. Like, no one's going to hold you to it. Well, I guess.
Porsche
Yeah,
way.
no, there will be
That's the
truth in
Porsche way.
advertising and stuff. Like that they'll get in trouble with it. But that just rocks. And this thing has such great range. It's so efficient. I mean, I think Kyle and I were both shocked that such a big vehicle was so efficient. I mean, it was more efficient than a Gravity. I mean, I don't know if we put them on the same course, Kyle, on the same day. It's going to be close. But
Wow.
would you have thought that before we actually drove it? Would you have thought that it was going to be close to being or even more efficient than a Gravity? I wouldn't have until we got in them and drove them.
It's very close to Taycan efficiency at speed, which is
Really?
amazing for such
Which
a
is
big vehicle.
Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Cayenne owners, I mean, or buyers, if the Porsche dealers will let them try out, the ICE version, the electric version, I think they'll move. I think they can move a lot of these things. It's a bit larger. It's got a lot more room in the second row. I think it's got a better looking cabin. I don't know. What do you think, Kyle?
This is the car. This is the car of the year. This is the
Right.
car everyone, if you can afford it, should get. This is it is the one car solution. It's a lot of money. You can spec them to over $200,000 if you go crazy. But what you get is just an incredible engineered piece of vehicle that drives unbelievably comfortable, that handles great, that can tow 7,700 pounds, that has great range, incredible charging, and it's completely repeatable. And, it's got that Porsche solidity. You just know everything you do with the car, everything you touch, had 50 people obsess over whether or not it should or shouldn't be like that. It's not like when you drive a car from a startup automaker where they were just trying to get the car together enough to ship it. This is like, let's just over-engineer everything and then deploy the vehicle. Now, that also means probably over-the-air updates aren't going to be so great on this. And I think I remember them saying you can't even update every module through over-the-air. So, there are downsides. And, the depreciation is going to be huge on this car. But it's a great car. Really great car.
It reminds me of when I read the Walter Isaacson biography of Steve Jobs, and I think it's the first time I'd read it. It's a very famous story, and they talk about how he was obsessive about all the bits that you couldn't see, especially in the early days, but it went all the way through. And, for good or bad, or love him or hate him, he was obsessive about just making good stuff. And the circuit boards that nobody would ever see, they're just works of art inside the Apple stuff. And I feel the same way about Porsche. Like that phrase, this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can have nice things, because someone has cared about something to make it. And there's so many great Chinese cars that you come into market in 18 months time, within 18 months and with amazing specs. But you have a little question mark over And what's that going to be like in 3 or 5 years' time? Whereas you just know, this is going to be fine. This is going to be rock solid forever. I just love that they've done this, and I hope somebody buys one. I'll see a few around here. I live in a half decent area. I live in the poor street of a nice area, and I'll see a few of them around here, no doubt. They're a nice car.
Yeah, once people drive it and realize, like, oh, okay, this thing's like actually insanely legit. You can't communicate the feeling of driving this car. But for example, like I drove one that didn't have lane centering on our range test, but it was just locked straight the whole time. Like gust of wind doesn't matter. It's just locked straight. But then you go to turn it and it's eager to turn and it's got the rear steer to get it around. And it's amazing. Really amazing car.
Now, Dominic, you mentioned earlier that the UK press that have had a go in the Jaguar 00 all kind of raved about it. And you do wonder how much, I wonder at least, I know this is unfair of me, I know. I wonder how much, when you are given such early access by a PR department, you've got relationships with people anyway, especially if you're running a website that's an electric vehicle website, if you burn bridges. So sometimes I wonder whether you are inclined to give, sometimes the rub of the green to cars that you've had very special access to. The same goes for me for the early reviews of the Range Rover. A few of the UK magazines have had a good old drive now of the Range Rover Electric, and they've all raved about it. And there is that little quiet voice in my head of how much of it is just a little bit that you don't want to go, well, this is terrible. Or is it actually really, really good, which is the answer we want. We want it to be really good. So flexible, modular, longitudinal architecture, MLA Flex, 800 volts, comes to the US by the middle of next year. No specs and details on this. The best thing about it is it looks like a Range Rover. I've always said this. It just looks like it should. And it'll feel like it should. But all of the early reviews go, yeah, but when you get this off-road, it's effortless. There's no building up the revs. There's no worries about, can I, make it? It just delivers it perfectly. They seem to have nailed it. We want them to have nailed it.
Well, I think one thing, we go on a lot of these early drives. So I think it's important to remember that the automaker is not going to put you on a course or on something to try to mess the car up. So they have pre-run whatever they're going through. And, that's where Tom and I go, okay, see you guys later. We're going to go do our own thing. Cause my job is to go find faults with cars. Yeah. And we piss off PR people all the time by doing it. But ultimately, if it can do their stuff, plus a little bit of like my weird checking for things, then it could be a great car. And, based off of my experience as a multiple Land Rover owner, I've had them pretty much forever. I can't think of a time I haven't had a Land Rover in the garage. They tune vehicles to near perfection. Drive a brand new Range Rover, and it's amazing to drive. Now, I'm not into the newest generation that we're looking at here, but man, do they drive well. That's for sure. And you know what? I drove my L322 yesterday, which is an older one. Still peak car. Just peak automotive, that era. It's amazing. You get in that thing. I bought it for like 12 grand, and I feel like, you know what? I'm just better than everyone else on the road. You've got the Range Rover thing, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, I think the UK press were allowed out on the Range Rover proving ground, or it's either in Solihull or it's somewhere where they make the vehicle. So yeah, to back up your point, it had been around that course a fair few times. It was never going to catch it out. It looks like it's the real deal, though. It looks really good. It just looks like a Range Rover. Who cares how it's powered? It shouldn't even be. It shouldn't even be an argument. It's my whole point about why EVs got politicized. It shouldn't even be part of the conversation. You either go and buy this in diesel, or petrol, or electric. Who cares? Like, you go get your new Range Rover, you get the one that is your favorite, and that it will be the same vehicle. It's just powered differently. And there's no need to get upset if you're a Range Rover fan that it's electric. I don't think they are. Yeah, just go and buy the one you want. It'll all feel the same. It'll look the same, but it'll be, more powerful and quieter.
Yeah, Martin said you buy the one you want. I would tell you to lease the one you want. I don't know if you want to hold on to.
Yeah, good shout.
The latest generation of Range Rovers long term. I have friends that own them. They love them to death, but they lease them because, as soon as you're out of warranty, man, you're going into your pocket for a lot of money on repairs. So yeah, leasing's the way to go. And one of the things I found interesting was I thought I saw somewhere in their marketing that they're claiming that it can weight. It has the deepest weighting of any electric SUV, and they say it's like 33 or 34 inches. R1S can weigh like 42 or 43 inches. So I don't know how they make that claim.
Pretty good too.
I don't know how they make that claim, but it's in their marketing that it's the deepest weighting of any electric SUV. And even I think is it the BYD Yang Wang U8 or something, also does like 40 inches.
But it's not electric.
It's geez, that's right. That's
range
right.
extended.
Right.
Yeah. But it's no. They don't have an electric version of that, the U8?
I don't think so. I think they're range extended only.
Oh, okay. Well, they can weigh like 40 inches. So I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, they all have a 2-liter turbo engine.
Yeah.
What is that? The one that will also technically float for a period of time?
Yes, so it has an infinite weighting depth, Martin.
There you go. It's infinite.
Can't get any better than that.
Waiting depth, boat. Although you do have to then get it to a dealer within something like 60 minutes or 90 minutes to be checked. Otherwise, your warranties.
So I heard that too, and then I actually met a guy in China who kind of told me you don't have to do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. There could have been a language barrier thing going on there too.
Are you got any plans to go back to? You going back to
China?
China, by the way, Kyle?
Yeah, sometime this year. I wanted to go end of last year, but we just got super busy and didn't really have the time. The next generation Range Rover from like my boxy one to where they kind of got them a little bit more like this. It's the R1S. The R1S embodies everything the original or the earlier Land Rovers did. They're less pretentious. They're just as capable, if not more capable off-road. They drive pretty well on the road. They have effortless power, and they just look great wherever you park them. And that is what the Land Rover's all about.
This looks like it's more about just being posh or appearing posh. It's probably got great capability and stuff, but it's just not what it communicates to me when I look at them. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I did rush some of the cars that we've talked about today because I wanted to leave loads of time at the end of the show to talk about this because I think it's make or break. Well, it is make or break. I'll fight you on that one. Rivian R2. Here we go then. We've got a Volvo to mention at the end of the show if we get time, but Rivian R2. This is the one. It has to work. There's no backup plan. R3 won't happen if R2 doesn't happen. No doubt, Rivian's a niche automaker. They get plenty of attention, but it takes the distinctive styling from the large R1S and puts it on a mid-size SUV. It arrives in Rivian stores in the first half of this year. It's all according to plan. RJ Scaringe has been on a bunch of podcasts at the end of last year. And on social media as well, just dropping all the right milestones and talking about the different development points they've hit. So the first deliveries will be obviously the well-appointed dual-motor launch editions, not the tri-motor trim or the affordable base, starting around $55,000 or $60,000. I don't know if power output is confirmed or anything like that, but they're talking 5.5 seconds 0 to 60. And that'll come down sub 3 seconds eventually on tri-motor, stuff like that. Of course, it launches with NACS. Battery size, I don't know. But 270, 300 miles of range, I think would be the benchmark to get the vehicle out. More than 250 kilowatts of DC fast charging needs to be benchmarked. And then they talk a lot about autonomy and AI, which is where I get a little bit lost because it's not my wheelhouse and I don't have a huge interest in that, but it's clearly a massively important part of the Tesla story and now the Rivian story as well with Gen 3 hardware. So LiDAR and their own chips. They're doing a lot of the work themselves. And again, it's another vehicle that I desperately hope is presented in the right way that Americans just totally understand and then go and buy. But so many question marks over this. But hey, I mean, you guys own Rivians. I don't know if Kyle, you still own a Rivian or not, but
I've got 3 of them.
Yeah, so members of your team have one, and you still have your adventures with them.
I love them. all three of our Rivians have been amazing. They're the best things we've ever spent money on. I can't wait to get R2. It's a brand that, just like the people are totally dedicated. While I disagree with a lot of their decisions, and we hammer them often in our reviews for certain overlooked items, the overall experience of owning a Rivian is, number one, number two up there out of anything I could ever imagine. And that is pretty impressive from my perspective to have a new automaker build such a great launch product. Now, the second generation is going to have even a little bit better hardware, but it's not worth getting so excited about the R2, or at least this is what I keep telling myself, because it is meant to be the lesser model to the R1. Like if you walk in after this launches, you still want the R1. So then do you go used R1 or new R2? That's going to be the question. In terms of electrical hardware, though, this will have the latest and greatest, and I think it's going to be a huge success. I know many people, many friends of mine, non-car people and car people alike, who are like, this is the next car for me.
Really?
And they're just waiting for this. And it's really permeated beyond just the car enthusiast, the EV enthusiast. A lot of people just don't want an egg on wheels, which is a Model Y. They want this. And if Rivian can get their driver assistance level to be really great, then now we've got just an amazing, well-rounded package. And that's what they're claiming they're willing to do.
Yeah. And I honestly think that if this launched with R1, Kyle, I think, at the same time, the R1S, that this would outsell the R1 3 or 4 to 1. The R1's a huge vehicle. I think so many people bought them that didn't need that size. I'd put myself in that bucket. Like, we don't need the 3-row, 7 seats. I just wanted a Rivian. I love the brand. I love the styling. I love the driving experience. And we got an R1S just because that was the SUV that they offered. I think this is going to be really, really the big number, provided they can manage to keep the price reasonable. We still don't really have a fixed price on this yet. There's got to be a huge delta between this and R1S. If they can do that, I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm getting Tom's mic is quiet. No, it's over here.
That's okay.
I'll get a little closer to the mic. I mean, that's how I look at it. I think that this is going to be huge for them. And if they can deliver on most of what they had in their last announcement, talking about the, driver assistance system, self-driving computing system that they're coming out with, I think it's going to be, this is going to be like their Model 3 moment, that's going to pull Rivian into, put them on solid ground at least, because at this point right now, they're not, I wouldn't classify them in the situation that Lucid did, but they're on tenuous ground. There's a lot of people out there that don't expect them to survive. So this has got to be the vehicle that calms everybody down and says, okay, they're here to stay.
I really hope so, because I think this is an area of automotive that they have carved out for themselves. And man, it's so hard as a Rivian owner to want to drive anything else. They make some amazing cars.
I think it's going to really capture the imagination of U.S. consumers, and it's become a real kind of vehicle. Like, I think, like, the thing that everybody has to have. Like, there's lots to like about it. The scroll wheels and the steering wheel are pretty awesome. They feel great. The car looks good inside, outside. It's got all that car camping utility that a lot of people like. It's got the pet mode. It's got decent software, and throw in that autonomous stuff coming up, like eyes off. If they can actually do that, this is going to be huge. I'm still disappointed by a few small things, like the charging speed. I think they could have gone to 800 volt, but I understand the need for the compromise. But I still think this is like a really special vehicle, and I think it's really going to it should put the company in the black.
Global vehicle too, isn't it? Well, I'd say global, at least a European vehicle as well as North America. So, yeah, we finally get Rivians.
Yeah, puts them on the map.
Puts them on the map. Yeah. And while I've always really liked the way that their company leader has talked, just generally, I think. I find him an interesting person. I think he has interest viewpoints and he expresses them well. What he's talked about is the tax credit going and how for him, he says it just stops muddying the waters of bad EVs being incentivized to be sold. He said, because we know that we make good EVs, but of course they're at a different price point than so many of those cars that were getting $7,500 off, and then crazy lease deals on things like, like the Subarus and the Acuras and stuff like that. And so he says it forces the cream to rise to the top, and I think he's always said that, but particularly lately he's been saying, it's a really big topic, the tax credit going, but it's not one that is a deal breaker for Rivian, and that's the kind of confidence from a leader that I really, really love to hear, and many other ways that he expresses himself as well. I think is really nice, but that's been a constant thing that he's always said. So they know it's good. They know it's good. They just need to convince people in 2026 to buy these. That's their problem, not mine. I'd hate to have that job in the US right now. Whether I don't know, what's the perception? What's the word I'm looking for? Attitude towards EVs is just a little bit more negative.
Yeah.
There we go. Any comments that we haven't got to?
We got it with the R2. Just price. Please, Rivian, bring this out at a reasonable price so people can afford it. They can get that monthly payment affordable so they can put it in their driveway, because if this is priced right, I think it's going to be a breakout for them.
I think the launch edition, the dual motor launch edition, is well appointed. I think it's going to start between 55 and 60, but then the base version should be like in the 50, I think, area.
Well, should be, but let's see,
Yeah, right.
How many times have we expected a price, have been promised a price, and then it gets changed? Rivian had a disaster when they first launched the company with the R1T and R1S with their pricing. They even got sued by it. I think they lost, right? Recently, they got some settlement against them by the investors. So the price is really important. It's got to be. It's going to make or break this vehicle, I think, really, because I think it's going to be a great vehicle. Rivian's proven they can make fantastic vehicles. I've owned an R1T and an R1S, both fantastic. Love them as much as Kyle does, but they're out of reach for the average person. This is supposed to be the vehicle that the average person can get into, and hopefully that's the case.
I don't know how you sell it. As you guys have been talking about, how do you sell this? I would sell this like I would sell Tesla, as an American success story. It's a constant fascination of mine that so many people were anti-Tesla. Tesla is an American success story, and so is Rivian. I think I would sell it like that. I think I'd sell it like made in the US by Americans. This is one of your homegrown absolute successes. I'd fly a big old flag above this if I was the cheerleader for Rivian.
That works for the middle of the country, but I think the coast care about that a little bit less.
Okay. Let's finish off talking about Volvo. I wonder who.
You know what? Sorry to interrupt, Martin. Just before we wrap it up, I didn't put the Kia EV3 in this list, and that's a big miss on my part. So sorry about that.
No, it is not.
KVE.
You did not miss it. The reason is I just talked to Colton yesterday about this. He went to the Kia dealership in Fort Collins and to pick up his new EV6. He went, got it last week, right before the end of the year. He got an insane end of year lease deal on a new EV6. Nice. They told him no EV3. They said, we heard from upper management at Kia, EV3 not coming to the US.
Wow.
That's what the dealer told him. And they were adamant. They're like, can you check your sources? And they were like, nope, not coming. So that's not Kia America talking. That's one dealer that got that information somehow. And, there's always, a little game of telephone, but it doesn't sound good for the EV3 based off of that. So I've got to reach out to Kia now that we're back in the new year and see what's going on with that.
That is the perfect Goldilocks car. Not too big, not too small, not too cheap, not too expensive. Couple of battery sizes, loads of range, really cheap, and from Kia. And people don't seem to mind Kias and Hyundais. And so Perfect car. It's been one of my cars of 2025. If anybody asks me what should I go and drive a Kia EV3. It's like 10 years ago you'd have said just buy a Volkswagen Golf because it's perfect. It does not too big and not too small, and it'll do holidays and trips to the supermarket, and you'll park it in small spaces, but also do road trips in it. Kia EV3 is that new car for me. Shame.
And I'm not saying that Kyle's friend got misinformation, but we all know dealers historically have things wrong. I mean, I've had dealers say, tell me things that are just off the charts wrong, and they're adamant about it. And, remember, the dealers, they always want you to buy what's sitting on their showroom floor. They will tell, there could be a car coming in 2 weeks, and they'll tell you, yeah, we don't expect that coming for months. And they know it's coming in 2 weeks because they care about that day's sales. So, I'm certainly not saying they're wrong. This could totally be true. Wouldn't surprise me because a lot of cars are getting killed off now. But the dealers, I tell you, the things I've heard from dealers, throughout the years, they're so wrong. And they're always the last to know. Like, we hear about stuff before dealers do. So don't, let's see what happens. Kyle's going to follow up and with Kia and, talk directly to them. But, it's unfortunate if it doesn't come here because I was looking forward to that vehicle. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're very popular. When I was in South Korea recently, I saw them everywhere.
N8 Wright says, if Tesla didn't have a very problematic CEO, they'd have had a better year, which made me laugh because he was either on an interview or a podcast, and Elon Musk said, only recently, he's like, yeah, maybe the whole politics thing wasn't my smartest move. And I'm like, I know we've joked about it. I've joked about it before, but I'm not sure he is the smartest guy. And he can't always read the room. And I say that as someone who, over the holidays, I watched both parts, a 2-hour, Tim Dodd's The Everyday Astronaut channel. Elon Musk gave him a walk around of SpaceX. And so I just watched 2 hours of Elon Musk talking, giving this YouTuber a tour. And Elon Musk is clearly a very, very smart person, or at least has smart people around him and can say, the right things at the right time. Like, I don't have a problem with Elon Musk, but how did he not know that what he did this year would have upset some people? But did it affect the cars? No, it affected the sales, but hopefully it didn't affect the cars. And I was shocked and surprised. But if you do want to have 2 hours of Elon Musk in your life, I highly recommend going to check out those walk around. If you like the SpaceX stuff, which is kind of, I find it, I don't understand any of it, but I find it interesting. Recommend it. It was a very good watch. And I think when you spend more time with Elon Musk, you appreciate his nuances. But yeah, what he did this year was really, really stupid. Just stay out of politics. But he's the richest man in the world. He can do what he wants. Volvo EX30, quick mention at the end. This is the biggest selling car that Volvo's ever made. And did I say that very well? So in 2025, the XC60 became the most sold model they've ever made. And Volvo's an old company. So EX60 is incredibly important. January 21st, we find more details. Well, it's the official launch on January 21st. So SPA3 platform, 800 volts, almost 100 kilowatt hour pack on the all-wheel drive. Huge seller. Massive seller. 60 grand. Rivian R2 territory. All right, Volvo, what do you got? We'll find out.
Stay tuned to Out of Spec Reviews.
Ooh.
So I guess we get the official reveal on the 21st. And so I guess we'll hear from you about that shortly thereafter.
I don't actually know the dates.
Okay.
But I know I've got to go to Sweden. And then since I was already over there, I called William because he's up in Norway. I'm like, dude, let's do a 3-way electric car race to Nordkapp. So we're working on that.
Awesome. All right.
Oh no. I've talked about Elon Musk and now I've got it all wrong in the comments.
That was your first mistake, Martin.
And everyone hates me now.
Cars on this channel.
Everyone hates me for saying something. I'm sorry. honestly held view and all that. Right, I think we're done. Holy moly, we whizzed through those in good time. That's our show. Happy New Year, everybody. Here we go again, 2026. What a year it's going to be for electric vehicles and all of the world around it. Stay tuned to Out of Spec and all of the work that Kyle does with his team, ever-growing team. And Tom, every time I look at your channel, it's added about another 5,000 subscribers. So it's not just the YouTube channel, it's evchargingstations.com and everything else now as well. So here we go again for another year. Yep. Dom, where will you be for much of this year? Vietnam, or are you moving on?
Oh, we'll be moving on. We'll be in Malaysia for a couple of weeks, in about 5 or 6 weeks, and there's Thailand for a little while, and then after that, there's a bunch of different places. It's all kind of scattered in my mind, but Italy again in the summer, Crete, maybe some Turkey. Wow. This all kinds of places. This year's going to be pretty wild.
Well, when you're being chased by the law, you got to keep moving. And that's our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel if you want to, or not. So we don't mind. If you have any questions or comments, that's the best place to go. Yeah, liking is the best thing to do because it tells YouTube that other people like you might like us. If that makes sense. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again very soon on the next one. Take care, guys. See you later.